Hello and welcome to the Wendell Effect for the Indian markets. This is Brandon Wendell with you for the week of the 16th of October. So welcome everyone. Before we get started, just need to remind you that we are not registered broker-dealers or investment advisors. We're going to look at this information from an educational standpoint only, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold any particular securities or doing any personalized recommendations here. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and there's always risk involved in the markets. We can only minimize the risk, we can never eliminate it. And we are not subject to trading restrictions, so we can have a position as security initiate one at any time. Keep in touch with me, please. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and don't forget to subscribe as well to our videos. That way you'll be notified every week, and hit like as well. Please help us out so we can help you again in the future. But you can stay in touch with me by emailing me at brandonwendell.cmt@gmail.com, and you can also catch me on Twitter at TraderBdub. So if you got any questions or suggestions, anything like that, like I said, we'd love to hear from you and see what we can do to make this the best product and program for you, the trader and viewer. So moving along here, again, this is just for India. We're going to do the week of October 16th as we are starting that week already. And the heat map for the past week was a little bit red. You know, we had a couple of, the banking sector there, the finance side. You see Kotak, HDFC, and HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, all going green, but the rest of the market was pretty red with a few exceptions. So it looks as though we're going to continue to be a little bit bearish. Well, let's take a look at the market, shall we? On the weekly chart of the Nifty, we kind of had that false breakout with a negative divergence, and that led us back down into the downtrend. There's no demand for another 1,000 points, really, at the 16,248 area. That's the first weekly demand that we're going to run into. Honestly, if we go straight down, we're probably going to be below 40 by the time we get there, which means we could just do a small bounce before going lower. So it doesn't look like this bearish trend is over as of yet. You know, we tried to recover 2022, and it just hasn't happened. You know, it's still continuing to push and be weak. Going into the daily chart, you see that we have, we've done a retracement. There we go. We did a little retracement, and it looks as though we made a higher low, but we have not made the higher high yet, so that's still suggesting that we may continue to impulse to the downside and try to target, again, that 16,248 weekly demand zone. However, if we do break above the high right here, this high from the beginning of October, that could change the trend on the daily chart. And you know, it won't change the weekly at all, but it can give us a short-term move to the upside, at least on the daily basis. So I don't know exactly what time frame or what level that is. Let me check that real quick. If I go out to Nifty, again, this is on the daily index, so let me just bring that up on the Nifty 50 here, daily chart, and there it is. So let me clean up my chart so we can look at this fresh. But you can see that we need to break the high right here of 17,428. So if we make higher low followed by higher high, then we are back in an uptrend. It's kind of interesting because we recently made a low, but on that low that we made in price here in October, mid-October, we didn't go below 40. And that's actually a bullish sign. So it's suggesting that we might be able to get to a new high. But if that fails, you know, we're still not above 50, let alone 60 on the RSI. We still have lots of bearish pressure. So if we end up breaking down and making a new low first, which would be breaking 16,950, then we should easily move down to the 16,250 that I showed you for the demand. So just kind of keep an eye on that for this week and see which way we break. On the 4-hour chart, it's still showing a lot of weakness. You see we can't get above 60 on the RSI, and we have been recently below 40, so still seeing lots of bearishness that should take us to 16,500. We'll call it 16,600, and then to the 16,250 area that I was talking about. As far as the individual pieces, you got Reliance that's kind of guiding us, and that's the major player, the biggest weight on the index. And you can see that it too is showing a lot of bearishness here, where just can't seem to make that new high. So if we break to a fresh low, then we continue to move down. We do have earnings coming out. I'm not sure if that's this week or next. Let me check to see the exact date. And Reliance has the earnings on Friday, the 21st. So keep an eye out for that. Obviously, you can have a big swing one direction or the other. We may go a little flat up until that news comes out. So keep an eye out for that. There may not be a whole lot of movement this week. Could get stuck kind of in this range. All right, but that earnings should release us. And overall, we're still pretty bearish. So I would expect it to push down towards the 2250 area, which is our next level of demand. Taking a look at Reliance historically from the 17th of October to the mid-November, we've been watching this, and the historical move is actually to the downside. Okay, you can see kind of mid-October is a little bit of a rally to the end of the month, and then we just collapse historically. So 70% of the time, more than 70% of the time, we've been bearish over the last 15 years. So this is not a very good time for the stock. Reliance is likely to go down and take the Nifty with it. Looking at Infosys, you can see we had a big gap up on Friday here on the daily chart, kind of crazy, but sold off as soon as it gapped up at that new high. So we're not really following through very well. We also stayed below 60 on the RSI, so that's a little suspect right now. It could be a false breakout that would normally cause us to come all the way back down and close that gap. So keep an eye out for that. That's all I've got going on here. Nothing else really hinting in any particular direction other than that. HDFC, that's the bank, HDFC Bank. Same thing, we had the gap up, and actually this gapped up and went up on the gap. So we're coming into the origin of the selling pressure that took us lower. If we can break above this 1462, it would be the same as the Nifty with the higher highs after a higher low. We'd go into a bullish trend. And it looks as though, did we have earnings already? Let me see. Oops, HDFC Bank. Here we go. And it's showing earnings were on the 14th, so we've already had the earnings. That's probably why we did that move to the upside. But the fact that we couldn't get into bullish territory and we're seeing a bit of a topping tail suggests that when the markets reopen, we're probably going to go ahead and give back a lot of that rally we just had. So overall, still looking pretty bearish here on HDFC on the daily chart. And once more, if we make the higher low, we need still to make a higher high for that uptrend. If we break this low, then we continue the downtrend. I was also looking at Bajaj Financial Service, I think it is, and this is on a 4-hour chart. If you got in on that long, congratulations. At the beginning of October, we were looking at that long opportunity here around 1619 with the stop loss of 1604, and it's working out, but you may need to tighten the stop because we're in a sideways trend here, and you want to put your stop probably about 1655, just underneath this sideways range, because if we break down, it could go all the way back to the origin of the original move, which obviously we don't want to go back to break even. We don't have to. We're already halfway to our target. So hopefully it breaks to the upside and we continue to go higher, but to keep yourself safe, put your stop underneath these lows right here and just protect yourself. Going over to the Nifty Bank, or Bank Nifty, whatever you want to call it, you can see that we are well off of our weekly demand zone here. We have that demand way down at 35,543. Tried to make this new high, but we were unfortunately less on our momentum than we did before. Our bullish momentum was dying off, and therefore we pulled back pretty deep. I'm not sure if this is done with the retracement. Kind of looks like a head and shoulders forming there, that we might be doing the right shoulder here. So we go down to the daily chart, and there it is. Left shoulder, head, and the right shoulder is trying to form right now. We'll see if we break down. If we do, it takes us to 33,666, which actually is below this weekly demand, isn't it? Nope, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is below. Yeah, 33,666 because this is at 35,543. Anyway, keep in mind, if this turns around and we go below that low from Thursday, I believe it was, then we should be able to get to that neckline and break down. You know, for the most part, we're stuck sideways. You see we lost momentum, but we definitely don't have enough bullish momentum to keep going higher. So I don't see us hitting the supply up here. We could, but I doubt it. It looks as though we got kind of a false break to the upside again, which should cause us to come down and maybe even break down to the neckline. 4-hour chart, really nothing different here. We're just stuck in that sideways move. You can see we don't have enough momentum to get above 60 or below 40, so prices are likely to continue to go sideways until we resolve this. And it seems as though we're more likely to break down than up, but it could go either direction. Just wait to see. Once we break out, wait for a close outside that range. If I go to the Bank Nifty here, just kind of highlight that again, a little bit more detail. Oops, not showing it that way. Let's try Bank Nifty. There we are. And again, if I go to that 4-hour chart, you see that consolidation that we're stuck in right now. Let me highlight it a little bit for you. Here we are. It's kind of stuck sideways there. And basically what we need to see happen is a close outside that range, maybe even a retest of it before we start moving in either direction. So if we do break down, we need to basically break down and close below 38,433, I think it is. And if we were to break to the upside, we'd wait to see if we can close above 39,608, maybe even retest that as a demand zone. And unfortunately, if we do break out to the upside, I did show you we do have kind of a zone right here. We have drop-based drop and actually another one above it. So we're not likely to move very far to the upside. So if we do get a breakout, it could be a false breakout, hit supply, and drive us back down. If we break to the downside, there's nothing here to hold us until we get to that weekly demand zone. So we got plenty of room to go down, not so much to go up. That's why I'm more inclined to think that this is simply a pullback that's going to end up breaking downwards. So I think that's it for this week. Yep, that's what I got. I was also looking at Icici Bank on the 60-minute chart. We were looking at a buying opportunity on this one. It never hit the entry spot. Let's see, did we follow through? Yeah, it unfortunately hit eventually on the 10th of October, looks like. Only made it halfway to the target. Normally, as soon as I get halfway to my target, I move my stop to break even, so that would have been a stop out at break even. You can see it's already gone below even our original entry and our stop anyway, so no longer trade there. The bank sector and Icici Bank, I can take a look to see where it looks like it might be heading. So let's go into stocks here, Icici Bank. Again, you see what has already happened with this. Let me clean this chart up. And if I go to the daily time frame, just want to see, we're kind of in a sideways trend. And it's consolidating, really. It's not so much of a trend, it's sideways consolidation. Although maybe trying to break, I can't tell. There's really nothing going on here. It's just sideways. Slightly lower highs, but lower highs, same lows, just consolidating. So not much going on. There's no real direction or trade opportunities to be had here. So just keep your mind on finding quality opportunities. It's just not here right now. But looking for some shorting opportunities, that's definitely likely to happen coming up pretty soon in the Indian markets. So that's what I got for you this week. Again, if you got any questions, make sure you text me or email me, message me, whatever you'd like to do. Please make sure you hit subscribe and like the video. And until next time, trade safe, trade well, and take care, everyone.